This is Sandra Sheffran, president of the Democratic Women's Club of Broward County. As I did yesterday, I revisited one of the candidates that we previously spoke to. That was a school board candidate. And I'm here again with David Cannady. We spoke about a month ago. A lot has happened since then. And also we're getting closer and closer to, the election time. So I just kind of want to keep everything fresh in mind so people are familiar with the candidates that are running in the races, particularly the ones that I find to be super, super important. So once again, I'm Sandra Sheffran, president of the Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward, and I'm here today to speak again with David Cannady. He's one of the candidates for the Broward County State Attorney. So I'm going to have him introduce himself, and then we're going to just get right into this conversation.
Hey, how you doing, Sandra? I really appreciate you having me back on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I absolutely can hear you.
Okay, excellent. Well, I'm David Cannady, and I'm running for state attorney in Broward. I don't want to go through a big speech or anything, but I do want to say that I'm currently in the office. I have 15 years of experience from DC to Tallahassee down here to Broward County, and I'm here to serve, which is why I'm running. We need generational change in our community and within the office, and I'm the candidate to do it. And I hope to earn everyone's support, not only through this, but also continue to follow me, continue to go to the website, check me out, davidcannady.com, go to Vote Cannady, as you can see at the top right here. And again, partner with me and let your voice be heard.
And that's Vote Cannady on all social medias, right? Like Facebook, Twitter,
exactly.
Instagram, all of that stuff?
All of that stuff.
Okay. So one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you again too is because I've seen like several of the forums, like all of the groups, and I'm very happy that they're doing that. A lot of the different organizations, particularly the Democratic organizations, are making sure that their members and the community is hearing from these candidates, right? And I saw, and then some people are getting their endorsements right now. Some I agree with, some of them I don't. Like, what do you think? What do you think about endorsements? Do they really matter? Because someone gets a big endorsement, does that mean that? Do you think that means that they're going to win the office? Or if you don't get a big endorsement, will you lose?
So endorsements never make or break a candidacy. Look, we're both students of politics. You're the president of one of the most prominent organizations, not just women's organizations, but organizations in Broward County. We had a candidate that ran for clerk of court last go round, and he raised hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he had just about every endorsement you could have. However, he did not win that seat. We have plenty of people in my race who came out with early endorsements. Some pulled away, some stayed with them. And we have people with new endorsements now. Endorsements don't make the candidate makes the candidate. Yes, we love people speaking on our behalf, but we want folks, everyday folks, to really listen to us. There's 2 million people in Broward County, and there are not 2 million people who are in elected positions or even lawyers here. So I'd rather get the endorsement of the people than an organization. But we do have endorsements.
Okay then. All right. Good. I'm glad to hear that that's happening. Okay. So I'm gonna try not to call anybody out, right? But I'm just gonna speak on some of the things that were said that made some groups, organizations not endorsed, right? And I just kind of want to get a little bit of clarity on your position, right? Because for me, I thought when I looked at it, and not just because I'm like, I'm just supporting David Cannady, that's it. I think it was something that I saw them do across the board to a lot of the candidates, maybe with the exception of one. And I'm like, well, I would rather you say you not know that you don't have the information as opposed to give somebody an F, particularly if it was like a phone call could have resolve that, right? All right. So one of the things that I saw that they said that you didn't have a position on immigration, or that you weren't gonna, if you became the new state attorney, you wouldn't work with people that people who are charged with crimes that come into the office, and to take their immigration status in consideration when plea offers were being made, or charges, the final charges that were being filed were decided on. What is your position on that? Would you take someone's immigration status into consideration when you're making plea offers or even deciding what the ultimate charge would be in a criminal case?
I'm not sure who said that or which organization said that, but I think that it's clear from our last conversation when we specifically spoke about that, because you deal with immigration cases, that you know that that's not accurate. In fact, some of the, I don't know if I said this to you or was it in a different interview, but I've had what were called commendations in our office for essentially doing the right thing, where attorneys have come in and said, hey, this guy, he should be commended for his actions. He's looking past what's going on, just listening to supervisors on what's going on. And one of those was for my work with a immigrant individual. He was arrested for sexual battery and we ultimately filed kidnapping charges. A year later, I dropped the case. Why did I drop the case? Because he didn't commit the crime, period. He didn't commit the crime. But then what I also did was work with the defense attorney so that he had all the information that he needed when dealing with ICE, because the guy was in ICE custody, to assist him in getting him out of ICE custody. Unfortunately, because of the nature of the crime, ICE didn't release him, and they released him back to his country of origin. However, he asked the sitting state attorney to give me a commendation because of the work that I did on the case, how swift it was, and how fair I was on that case. That's not the only case that I've worked on. There are more Black and brown immigrants in this county than any other county in Broward County.
And I'm
specifically Black.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I want to just clarify a little bit on the immigration side of it, right? So like if the charges were dropped and the person still got deported, I would have to say, just as a practitioner, that it was because of something besides it. Unless they had a different criminal conviction for something else, they may have ultimately been deported because there was no way for them to have lawful status in the United States. And it wasn't necessarily because of the arrest, because that's not one of the charges that immigration has a separate charge for. So if he wasn't able to ultimately stay, it wasn't as a result of the arrest. It may have been as a result of him not having the ability to maintain get lawful status in the United States once he got into immigration custody. That's just that's for the nerds listening.
Well, which unfortunately I couldn't control.
That has nothing to do with you. Right.
Yes, but I provided the defense attorney with everything quickly that he needed to ensure that he can keep his client in. We're talking about dealing with other cases where I've changed charges so that they could stay within the country. We had one case when somebody got arrested literally at the courthouse when he was trying to get married to an American citizen because he forged his only charge ever, because he forged his identification. And because he forged identification, I believe that's considered a crime of moral turpitude, and they were going to take him in, put a hold on him, and he couldn't plea out to the charges in which we were charging him to. We had a back and forth with the supervisor that said, this is patently inequitable. If this was somebody that was in this country, who was born in this country, and they did that, we give him 18 months probation. But because he was born outside the country and overstayed his visa, and he had a child, he remained married, or he was getting married to the wife of his children, we are now further punishing him by not changing the charge.
And punishing the family too, right? The child and the American citizen spouse.
And what was told to me was that by the immigration attorneys was that he had to either, one, he would not be able to re-enter if he was kicked out of the country, or two, he would have to wait a period of 5 years or something before he could reapply to come back.
He probably got a fraud charge, and then he was going to need a waiver for the fraud, and those waivers are sometimes hard to get.
Yeah. And we're not even talking about U visas, because we know that the U visas are for victims and witnesses. I've worked on that since the moment I've been in Felony, and that's an easy fix because we're assisting them just like they're assisting us.
Right. There is nothing in my record. Crimes. Those are people sometimes victims of crimes or witnesses to crimes. They're the ones that are eligible for U visas.
Yeah, so my record as it comes to being and helping the immigrant community is not only above board, but it pushes back against what currently happens. Now, I love what you said earlier, which is this could have easily been fixed with a phone call. That doesn't even seem like my character. There's certain things where somebody like says that about you, like, oh yeah, I might have said that. Like my mother-in-law said, she just bought some. She's here helping us with the baby. And I may have said something, not even thinking about it. I don't even know if I said it, but she said, "Oh, was it you that said ginger snaps are for old people?" And she was eating a ginger snap. And I was like, probably. and like, that's something I would say.
I guess I'm old people because I like ginger snaps.
Ginger snaps and Werther's Originals, like the stuff like that.
Okay, I don't know about that. That might be a little older than me.
But, and my wife likes ginger snaps too. But I was like, yeah, I might have said that, but I don't know. I don't remember it. Like, that sounds like something I would say. But it doesn't sound like something I say would be completely disrespectful to my mother-in-law, because that's not the kind of person I am. But joking around with them, that might be something I'd say. So again, a simple phone call could have fixed someone's misinterpretation of what they thought.
Now, what your position on immigration was, right? There was some other shots fired in another forum, right? And there was something to the fact that you were standing behind Mike Satz in 2016 when he was running for state attorney. You and another person of color that's in the race. That's the word on the streets.
Say her name. It's okay.
I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying.
Okay, so I'm not even defending myself. In fact, yesterday I put something on Instagram right after the debate. I was like, "Oh, no. And during the debate, I was like, "We can rebut this, correct?" It's important that people understand who the candidates that they're voting for. If somebody's going to attempt to slander someone else, especially without knowing any of the facts, I think it says something about them more than the person that they're talking about. But more specifically, but people have said this for generations. All right, if you've been in that courthouse, everyone says this. Mike Satz is not a bad person. He is not a mean person. You could not be in this position for 45 years and just be the worst human being in the world. There's no way. What he is unfortunately out of touch with the way that things are going right now. 45 years, he's over 70 years old. He was born in the 40s. He became state attorney at 34. He's generally never had another job in his life. He was younger than me.
Right, I think he was like 33 or something like that when he got the
33,
position,
34.
Right? And Broward County has changed a lot since then. A lot.
They like to say there was nothing west of University when he first became Broward County. There were less than 50 people in the office when he became state attorney. There's over 225 attorneys and about 500 total staff. So it's changed. It's changed significantly. Yes. And was I standing behind him? What I can say is I was somebody that came to debates and watched debates just like you. That's it, to see who the best candidate is. I never endorsed him. I never went, I was working in the office, so you can't endorse your boss. The law literally won't allow you to endorse your boss. Did I go to debates? Absolutely. I want to know what the county was about.
Because you had to vote too. You're still a voter. You're still a voter.
If that person would have won, she would have been my boss right now. So why wouldn't I be engaged in what's going on? Literally. So it's unfortunate that she said what she said. In fact, what she actually said was more akin to Joe Biden's comment, if you're not black, if you got to think about who you're voting for, you're not black. Because the question was,
I mean, come on, we ain't about to go diss Joe Biden right now, because what happens, we kind of need Joe Biden to get elected, okay?
What I'll say on this call is
I'm going to give Joe Biden a pass on that, because we're not looking for perfection. I mean, we don't want no no straight idiots. We're not looking for perfection, but we need Joe Biden right about now, because what we got going on right now got to go. It has to go.
I'm confident in saying both people on this Zoom right now are going to be voting Democrat for the presidential election. I have no doubt in my mind. However, a gaffe like that when you're not 70, when you're 50 years old, that's a tough one. Especially, and look, I got a lot of calls on that. I got a lot of calls. You can see different facial expression. People were offended by that. People were offended because she was calling out young black men who were running to be the state attorney during the Democratic Black Caucus Zoom call or forum. So why would you feel emboldened to dismiss us like we're like we're nothing. You feel emboldened to say, hey, I did everything. I went down to Miami. I spent my time saying I would never work for Mike Satz, but you guys decided to work for Mike Satz. Therefore, you sat behind him and uplifted him. I wouldn't be running for this position if I didn't think that the type of change that I'm pushing for is the necessary change. Reform, actual tangible reform that was going on. Today, I was on the Sir Rockwell show on Rock the Box, and we had that same discussion about next generation and what we would do when I'm state attorney. So there's plenty of opportunities to hear what I'm going to do. And if you believe that I am just another iteration of anybody, you are wholly wrong. I'm not backed by anybody of any significant political influence. In fact, I'm people powered the way it should be.
Okay. All right. So another thing, the other big thing that's bothering us these days is this friggin' COVID-19 coronavirus. That's just like, we thought we were about, oh yeah, we about to get back on the streets again. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, not today. How about there was like 10,000 positive cases in Florida. Then it was 9,000, 11,000. And, Miami-Dade County decided like, okay, we're going to close these bars. We're about to, they closed the beach and they're like, yeah, the restaurants, y'all better have takeout. You can't sit back down. Right. So the reason why I asked you this is because, people still get arrested. There's still like a whole jail population. Again, I do more on the immigration side, so I'm having a different experience in terms of getting people released. Police officers are still arresting folks. They're still charging them with crimes. If you were the state attorney right now, if you win and become the state attorney in January, and COVID is still as big a problem as it is then as it is today, would you look at the jail population and see if there's anything you could do to kind of reduce the numbers of people that are in the jail to kind of make sure people aren't getting infected and to protect the staff and the inmates that are in the jail that just have pending charges?
I'm going to answer your question, but I want to ask you a quick question. What has been your experience with immigration
immigration? They're not, even though there was a federal judge that said that they're supposed to release some individuals from detention, particularly ones that have like no violent crimes or anything like that. They're like, nope. We send in the information, the parole request, everything, and they're like, nope. They don't want to let them out. And even some of the judges, I had a bond hearing for a young man. I had two of them. One of them had a different judge. He was released on a $5,000 bond. The other one, the judge was like, nope. And I'm like, I'm going to file an appeal. What are you doing? He was like, I don't care. We can't even go forward on the case because they can't have people in the same room. Because of coronavirus. So the guy's on one phone in one room, the attorney for the government is on the phone in another room, the judge is on the phone somewhere. They're not letting me in the building, so I'm either on the phone at home or at the phone in my office. It's pure insanity. How are you gonna have a case like that, right? We can't even go forward, but at the same time the government is spending money every day for this guy to be detained when all they should do is just put a bond amount on him, let him get released, and then whenever he can go to court on a non-detained docket. He doesn't have any he's not a convicted felon or anything like that. He just entered the country without the proper documents. That's the only thing that's going on, but we can't get him released, and he's been detained since January. So then, imagine that.
So I'm gonna answer your question directly. Yes, the population is going to be lower. I've said this since the beginning. I saw this coming from a mile away. You can check my Instagram, you can check Facebook, you can check tweets, you can check radio interviews, any of this stuff. Since the beginning, I wrote an article about this in Legacy magazine 2 months ago. COVID-19, literally, and hopefully there'll be an op-ed coming out soon, and I'll let you, Sandra, you're gonna be one of the first folks to know about this. But within that op-ed, we're going to talk about COVID-19 specifically, because the problem is, specifically in Broward County, I don't want to talk globally, I'll talk Broward County, because we have big issues globally as well. In Broward, we've been under a consent decree for 40 years, okay? That consent decree started back in the 70s, essentially 2 years after Mike Satz became state attorney, and it was the Carruthers case. The Carruthers case basically were inmates who sued Broward County and the sheriff for civil rights violations. They were legitimate civil rights violations. A judge found it to be so. Now they had to basically fix the jails, build new jails, and all that stuff. In 2018, 2017, the government came to an agreement, which is what happens in consent decrees. The government came to an agreement with the plaintiffs, and they basically said, look, we got these new jails, the conditions are better, and we decreased our population to, I believe it was 76, 74%. All right, COVID hits. I see it coming from a mile away. I talk about it everywhere. I go to magistrate court. The Conti facility, which is in Pompano, at 90% occupancy. The main jail had over 80% occupancy. What we call North, which is the jail in the northern portion of Broward County, had over 80% occupancy. We were nowhere near that 74, 76% occupancy. We worked our way down closer, but we are nowhere near having the amount, a tenable amount of people in custody where people wouldn't get sick. What you're seeing on the news, some of those things are legitimate. What we just found out the other day while I was on a Zoom call is that if you are set for a plea or a status and somebody in a defense attorney wants to bring you down so you can be on a video, like you said, one person on call here, one person on call here. That's what happens. One person's on video call, the attorney's on video call, state attorney's on a video call, judge's on a different video call. We all come together. And like you said, it's crazy. But if you've either been exposed to or you have COVID-19, if someone in your cell has it, they quarantine everybody, period, point blank. And what they don't do, they don't tell their defense attorney. So the defense attorney never knows. Now, they don't have an opportunity to make a phone call because they're quarantined, to be on a video because they're quarantined. And the jail is not letting you know that they're quarantined. So now we don't even know who's been quarantined. And this has been the problem with law enforcement, period. We're talking about the state attorney's office, prosecutor's office, and law enforcement. Lack of transparency. That has been the problem. So under my administration, yes, there will be transparency, and we will work to lower the amount of folks that are in custody. But I do want to give a big shout out to the state attorneys that were working on the ground at the beginning of this thing. We're working to cut down the amount of folks in jail. And what I would never do, and I learned this back when I owned a business, I'm never going to just blame the folks on the ground. You cannot blame the folks on the ground for doing that everyday hand-to-hand work to fix the system. It's the higher ups, it's the management, it's the folks up here who don't set the policies in the appropriate way to fix the issues that come through. But the people on the ground that were working very hard, some of the supervisors, some of the lead prosecutors, including myself, that were offering themselves for service, our magistrate, ASA, they were doing a great job helping to let folks out. And we weren't arresting a lot of people at that time. But as you indicated, arrests are going to go up, especially if COVID-19 continues. More people are not going to have jobs. They're going to have more time on their hands, and the arrests are going to go up.
It's tough out here, but I'm gonna have to tell you that I actually, because I also follow the BSO races and a lot of the other races too. So I was listening to one of the sheriff panels, and the person who, and I believe it was a person who is presently running the sheriff's office right now, said something about the jail population is down to 60-something%.
Jail populations fluctuate every day.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Okay. All right. So COVID is definitely something that's going to be a part of our lives. We're going to have to, we're going to have to work this into how people are arrested, how our cases go moving forward. How are these, because it's another thing about like how you're going to do these criminal trials, right? The civil side of it has been good in that they are able to do a lot of their cases via Zoom, you know, because I actually had a family case that,
Yeah.
you know, I did a divorce. We did it over Zoom. It was kind of funny because, you know, I have like clients that are not very, you know, technologically savvy, but we actually made it through the hearing and it worked. And I can see judges wanting to keep it that way, right? Particularly since we're dealing with something such as so insidious as COVID. But on the criminal side, you know, how are you going to have trials? Like, what are you going to do? Just schedule everybody for 2022? I mean, you're going to and then leave them detained? I mean, some of these folks, even if they got convicted, they wouldn't be in, you know, in jail or in prison or wherever for that long. So what is this?
There are practical concerns not only for the prosecutor. Look, it's important to know where your power ends and your power begins. Clearly, the state attorney has not used his power to its fullest extent throughout his tenure. However, there is an end to what we can do. So the Broward County State Attorney does not control the courthouse. The clerk's office and the county manager and all these other entities, they work directly with the courthouse. That's why every time the chief judge speaks, goes out and speaks, he has the clerk with him and he has the county manager and he says, thank you so much for allowing us to use these spaces, because he doesn't control any of that. And neither does the state attorney. What you're saying is we're going to need to expand it. Like, practically what would need to happen is that we would either need to expand our jury pools. We would need to have social distancing. They would need to be on daily rotations.
Everybody need a hazmat suit. I mean, there was an attorney that went into federal court the other day with a hazmat suit on, and the people were like, I don't blame you, bro. I would do it too.
It all happens in South Florida, but people do not know what's going to happen. We got a president saying that we're going to be living with this thing. You got Dr. Fauci saying one thing. You got the two people fighting. You got the county saying something, the manager saying something, the governor saying something else. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. It's not a wait and see. We do need leadership in these times, and what you're talking about is leadership. I do believe when it comes to statuses, the status portion and the plea portion has been working out on the criminal side. A lot of defense attorneys like that they don't have to get up and just leave their office. They can do relatively small status hearings at their office and at their desk. Prosecutors like it too, not because we can sit at home and do whatever we got to do, but because it shows that we're progressing in this system that we have. We have a brand new courthouse. We have the newest courthouse in the state of Florida at Broward County. Let's utilize the technology that is flowing through the walls and ground and veins of this courthouse to our advantage, so we can show people really what we can do. So I don't think it's a bad thing that we are doing virtual things, but we need to know where that ends, and we need to prepare for the inevitability of going to trial. You can't continue to have people pending cases walking the street. You can't continue to have people pending cases sitting in jail. We're talking about murderers, sexual batterers, violent offenders who are still in jail. Some may be innocent, some may not be innocent, but they have their day in court, due process. So we can't hold it up indefinitely.
Yes, that's definitely something that, you know, and we don't know, right? And someone needs to know. Like you said, it's definitely something for leadership. You know, the clerk office has to figure that out. I mean, everybody has to figure this out, right? I mean, I don't know. Do you know if they're holding meetings to talk about what it is they're going to do? Because I would hate to be someone who thinks I'm innocent, who believes that they're innocent, and they're sitting in the county jail, you know, without a bond, you know, because they can't figure out how to schedule my trial, right? That just seems kind of wild.
Well, let me give you an example, because we just dealt with this case the other day. And we pled it out. Somebody, first-time offender, they committed aggravated assault, all right? They do not score prison. We would typically give them probation. There were some concerns of competency. There were some concerns that there was some substance abuse, a bunch of other different things. Traditionally, what we would do is say, hey, we want to get them evaluated. We want to send them to mental health court or substance abuse court. But what we know is evaluations aren't really happening right now, especially with the public defender's office, because there's all sorts of litigation pending. But then also you can't stick them in mental health court or stick them in drug court, because those mechanisms aren't working. but you've been in jail for over 200 days. So when is enough when you're a first-time offender? Let's plead the case out immediately. Why are they still in custody?
Right.
Do we want to get them help? Absolutely. However, this is not the time to play with these people's life. Really, it's not the time to play with their life, because at this point, they're missing out on employment opportunities, if there were any. They're missing out on their family. Their bills probably are piling up. If they had an apartment or a house, they probably lost it at this point. If they had a car note, they probably got the car repoed. Your life has been turned upside down by being in custody for 200 plus days, and your case is pending, and you're a first-time offender.
Yeah. Sorry for those people that got arrested on March 17th, right? It was just like, I mean, it's just, it's not funny, but it's just like, you just don't know. It's too much. It's really, really too much. And again, you can't, like, if someone really did something wrong, you don't want them to get a pass and benefit from the fact that, coronavirus is out here, right? The punishment should be punished, right? But at the same time, if they believe they're innocent, it's unfortunate that they're going to have to sit for who knows how long in order for them to prove their innocence. So,
Sandra, it goes back to your other question, what you're talking about, the jail population. And I'm going to give you a fuller answer than 64%. It fluctuates every day. It does fluctuate every day. I didn't say 64.
I just said 60-something percent. It might have been 69. I don't know.
Whether it was 61, 60, or 69. The jail population fluctuates every day based on arrest, okay? And based on retaining folks. So many people fall through the cracks. So many, because the public defender's office is understaffed. The state attorney's office is understaffed. The BSO is
understaffed. I heard that today too. They got like 250 positions they need to fill.
Probation officers are understaffed. We're talking about DOC. Everybody is understaffed, okay? So you're talking about people falling through the cracks, and if they're not hollering about what's going on and making a fuss about it, sometimes they won't get addressed. Then you got people that you release that you think, oh, this is a first-time offender, or this isn't such a bad case, but you didn't look into the case more. That's why I always talk about prosecuting the case, not persecuting the individual. Mm-hmm. You have to do that. When you prosecute the case, all right, you understand the case facts, understanding the facts, not just the charge. Because you could see a really, really bad charge, aggravated assault with a firearm. You could see a kidnapping. That's a horrible charge. What are the facts of it? What are the facts of it?
Yeah, no, because I had a client that was charged with kidnapping. I had a client that was charged with kidnapping, and it was like, was that really a kidnapping? No, but he moved the car with his girlfriend in it, so that's a kidnapping, right? That's a kidnapping charge, even though it doesn't.
There's a charge. We're gonna get a little nerdy for a second. There's a charge called burglary battery. All right, It's called a burg bat, is what we call it. It's first-degree felony, up to 30 years in prison. Okay, depending on what your record is, it could be life in prison as well. Okay. It's a possibility of life case. We call it a PBL. All right. I have seen, like, and you're from Miami, all right, but you live up here in Broward. We have seen some things in our life.
Yes.
Like you're leaving the spot. It's late at night. Some people are arguing. You're driving away because somebody's cussing at you, driving away. They reach their hand into a car, punch the guy in the face. That is considered a burglary battery.
Okay.
If they have outside of the car, that's a regular battery.
Yes.
Inside the car, that's a burglary battery. It's a first-degree felony.
Yes. Okay. No, and I have to tell you, I have that scenario. So I had a couple. This guy was in immigration court, and ultimately he did get deported. And what happened was he's arguing with his wife, right? And she's upset, and she tries to drive off, and he doesn't want her to drive off mad. He sticks his hand in the car to get the keys from her, and he got charged with burglary of an occupied structure. You know what I mean? And it was crazy.
And burglary of occupied structure, that's a second-degree felony. So there are facts that that's 15 years in prison max. Okay. And when I go talk to kids, I tell them things all the time. What I say is, look, you got to be educated. You got to know what's going on. I've been doing this for years. And I ask a couple of questions, but when I take them through a scenario, I always say, all right, you steal 5 shirts from Walmart, 10 shirts from Walmart. What did you do? I stole. It's a theft, right? Yeah. What kind of theft? It's not that big a deal. So a petty theft, right? Yeah. Okay. Petty theft maximum is 1 year probation or 3 year in jail. Okay. But you're probably not going to get that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's say you go to Polo and you steal 10 shirts. Or you go to Louis Vuitton and steal 10 shirts.
Oh, you don't need to steal 10. You just need to steal 1 out of Louis.
Hey, what's that? Well, that's a theft too. All right. Yeah, it's another big deal. No, that's a 3rd degree felony. A 3rd degree felony gives you maximum 5 years in prison, $5,000 fine, and we can give you 5 years of probation. Oh my God. And these are middle school and high school kids like, oh man. And like, all right, so let's switch it up. So now, I'm sorry about that. So now we have somebody that steals it from another person, steals it off their back. What is that? Well, that's a robbery. Okay, robbery, 2nd degree felony. Then we just go higher. Now he has it with a knife, and now he has this. Like, these crimes build when you do certain things. And if you don't know the facts, if you're not prosecuting the case and not persecuting the individual, then you are harming. You have the potential to harm the individual more than the justice that you are getting done, the equitable justice. So when we talk about the jail releasing people, we say, oh no, that's a robbery. Oh no, that's a burg bat. Oh no, that's a burglary. That's an aggravated battery. Well, have you looked at the facts of the case? It's going to take a little more time than I want to. I want to identify 150, 200 people that we can quickly release because, we got to get the jail numbers down. That's not how this is done. That is not how this is done. You need to have the facts of the case, but once you train prosecutors to do it on the front end, when you have a pandemic like this, we don't need to do it on the back end. Like I'm sure your mom always said, and my mom always said, you get ready on the front end, or you be prepared. So when the opportunity comes, you can take the bull by its horns or whatever it is. Be prepared. And we weren't prepared, and many state attorneys' offices weren't.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the next thing I want to bring up, this came out in the comments of one of those things that I was watching. Somebody, okay. Because you guys had the question of like cash bail, getting rid of cash bail. Getting rid of cash bail, right? Right. So getting rid of cash bail. And someone in the comments said like, well, how these bonds people gonna eat, right? Like how they gonna eat? How are they gonna earn a living? And what do you say to that? You trying to put the bonds people out of business by not having cash bail? I made a comment. My comment is a little bit different, but this really is about you, not me. So let's hear what you gotta say. I might tell you what I said.
I remember seeing a comment that you put on something. I was like, and just like Sandra said, because you don't play games and you don't agree with that. You don't disagree with everybody. Like when you just like the right. That's it. You're like, that's right. I don't care if this candidate said it or this candidate said it. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And you want to be in the right, which is why I appreciate you. Look, we got candidates who say that they want to dismantle the cash bail system. There will be no cash bail. I can at least think of 3 people off the top. Yesterday in the debate, I said that what I would do specifically, what I would do is get rid of all cash bail for misdemeanor cases, except for domestic batteries, and DUIs. I think it's reasonable. Trespasses, trespass cars, regular batteries, loitering, driving on suspended license, loitering, disorderly conduct. What are we doing here? Like you can release people. The purpose of those bonds are not for that. And it's not even a lot for the bondsman. It's like $100 a lot of times. It's not even $100 because you pay 10% of $100, right? So I'm not even sure they're backing that bond, but I'm not a bondsman. When you get to 3rd degree felony stuff, the change that I'd like to see and that I would implement is that on all nonviolent crimes, it would be no cash bond. So you wouldn't have a cash bond. However, on your violent crimes, those would go to our second review court. And what second review court is, it's very simple. Within 24 to 48 hours, you go to your assigned judge. You are given an assigned judge that day. The day you are in magistrate, you are given a judge that you're assigned to. So the next way we can send that over back for a second review by that judge. They do it in juvenile all the time. They don't have bonds in juvenile court, but they have detention statuses. Yeah. So the second review can get rid of a 21-day detention and make it a 5-day detention or a no-day detention or anything like that. And then for second-degree felonies, all reviewable. First-degree felonies, all reviewable by the second chance or the second look court. And that's important because the bond is a way. Nowadays, we see a lot of stacking, what I call stacking, which is you get a bond and you get these conditions, these ROR conditions. So you get a bond, and if you pay your bond, then you're on a monitor and you can't do a bunch of stuff, okay? And a lot of people say, let's just put you on a monitor, okay? But some people can pay the monies, but the crime doesn't necessitate a monitor or any additional supervision. So it's up to the judge and up to the system to do it. It doesn't discriminate, in my opinion, it doesn't discriminate against those with and those without, because within 24 hours, you're getting a review. And when you go in front of the judge and with the state attorneys that have an ability at that point to have more information at their fingertips, they can make a more intelligent decision whether this person should or should not get bond. That's why we give the in-court prosecutor more power to make decisions on the spot, the lead in particular, because the lead has the experience. The lead has been through the trenches a little bit. They have some of those battle scars on them, so they know what to look for, and what not to look for. And if they say, hey, judge, give me one more day, we need to wait on we're waiting on one more document, and we may agree with defense counsel and send you an agreed order for no bond release or no cash bail release. Okay.
Yeah. So my comment to them was, so the people who have to pay these bonds, they're not eating either, right? Because they pretty much had to go get money from all of their relatives, like $20 here, $100 there. You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, I you know, you want to be sympathetic with the bondsman, but there are people, like if someone gets arrested, particularly if it's like, you know, some crazy misunderstanding or something that, you know, that they may not have done, you know, and they got to come up with like $500, they go to work and probably—
That's a lot of money for some people.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money for some people.
That's a lot.
I remember getting, when I was in college, thankfully, asking my dad for $500. His first question was, why do you need $500? Yeah. Well, how much do you have in your account? I got $25. All right, when do you get paid next? I get paid in a week, make it work. Like that's,
yes.
It's hard for people to just give even if you had the money, they're not trying to give you $500.
Right, okay. No, it's difficult.
If you ask Oprah for $500, she's not giving you $500.
You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, she was like, the person, they were concerned about the bonds company. I'm like, you're probably destroying a person's economy for years when when they got to come off $500, you know,
sorry, whenever I look over, I'm looking for my wife and the baby. So
what happened?
No, whenever I look to the side, I'm paying attention, but I'm looking at my wife and the baby, making sure they're good.
Okay, yes. Yeah, so that was one of the things. So that was my comment. Yeah.
Well, Sandra, you bring up a good point. I hear this a lot of times, not only from Democrats, but from Republicans as well, that understand the criminal justice system. There are two criminal justice systems. One people with money, one people without money. But it's not the cash bail system alone, okay? Because the cash bail system is the first step, all right? It could start with the arrest. Okay.
Some people. I'm gonna interrupt you because I wanted to tell you something. When I was in law school, I got a speeding ticket, right? I think it was some kind of ticket, but it must have been speeding. Whatever, right? And it was like $130, right, for this ticket. Mind you, this is some years ago, and I was just like, where am I going? Because you don't work your first year in law school. I'm like, where am I going to get $130 to pay for a speeding ticket? I was in Alachua County, and they used to let you, you could work off, I had to clean up the botanical garden or something like that, so I don't have to pay the speeding ticket. But at least they had that option, because I was like, straight up, there was no way I was going to have $130.
Sandra, people rob Peter to pay Paul all of the time. Mm-hmm. And you think some people think it's bad character to do those things. No, I'm getting by. What are you talking about? I'm trying to make ends meet. Mm-hmm. I'm not paying this bill so I can pay this bill. I'm drinking water all day, so thank the Lord I'm fasting. But I'm fasting because I can't buy no food today because I got to use this $20 to go towards this $100 so I can pay off this bill. You know how much my electric bill was last month?
Oh,
Because I've been at home. You know how much my electric bill
listen.
I have a job that pays me a check every month. I hate how they pay me. I believe I deserve more money for the work that we do. But at least I got a paycheck.
Right.
In the budget that I have, this new electric bill is
it doesn't fit in my
budget.
And I have 11-year-old twins, right? And so they decide that they're gonna put it on instead of auto, so it doesn't go off. I'm like, wait, don't touch no buttons in my house, right? Like they literally had it on and like out. Yeah. So
Sandra, my uncle, if my uncle lived where I'm at right now, he would buy fans, open up all the windows and doors, and say, "Do not touch. Do not turn this on." And when we go to bed, we sleep at 79. What? And I remember my cousin had all the cool toys at his house, but I hated going over there because it was so hot. I'm like, what's wrong with y'all people? At least we have air conditioning where we live. Like we have it, he just won't turn it up. So there are two. When people say there are two criminal justice systems, that's the house I grew up in.
My mother didn't play that. There was no such thing. What? You know, my parents are from Haiti, so they're like, please, it ain't hot here. You know.
My mother-in-law, she talks about. She's like, oh, you use the dishwasher. I didn't grow up using a dishwasher. I told myself I'm using this dishwasher when I grow up. I want to use the dishwasher. I'm sick of washing dishes by hand. But there are two criminal justice systems. There's a criminal justice system financially, and this doesn't just start with the cash bail system. It can start with arrest. If you hire the right attorney and he makes the right deal for you, you can walk yourself into custody, and rather than getting arrested on the spot like other people, okay? Mm-hmm. If you have money, you can pay your bond out before you even see a magistrate judge, depending on the charge in and of itself. If you have, like, they'll say, Judge, Mr. Gonzalez, bring him up. And then the jail will say, Judge, Mr. Gonzalez bonded out yesterday. Okay, thank you. Like, they will never see a judge because they just bond out beforehand and they just spend a couple of hours there. Sorry, I have people calling me, but I told them to hold off. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I probably got to turn mine off too. But not only the lawyer that you're able to get, but also when and if you're able to pay bond and how much time you do in jail. So it's very important. I know some very, very good public defenders. I know some very, very good people. Turning my phone off right now. Some very, very good people who do the work on the ground to help their indigent defendants. However, a lot of times these people, the defendants get to them too late and they spend way too much time in custody than they need to. But it's incumbent upon the state attorney, the line state attorney, the individual that's doing the work on the ground to be able to understand these types of cases and how to deal with these cases to appropriately prosecute.
Okay, so this is another question. I didn't get this one out of your forum, but I got this one out of another forum, and somebody they kind of got their feelings hurt on this one, and it was basically about who they're taking contributions from for their campaign, right? So, are you taking contributions from anyone that could possibly be problematic, that when they want to fire some shots at another forum, they could fire shots at who it is that you took money from? Because this person was like kind of blindsided because I guess they didn't know someone checked on giving them money for their campaign.
Well, the truth is, anybody that gives you money, at some point, someone could fire a shot. You never know what people, who's giving you money, what they have done in their past. We're not doing background checks on who's giving us money. It was more of they took corporate money. They took money from like a corporation. So I know a couple of the candidates said that they're not taking money from bail bondsmen and something like that. But this particular, it wasn't an individual. It was a corporation that they took money from that they thought was inconsistent with the position that they have. And in your instance, I would say, like, would you take money from like the Geo Group or one of the private prisons? Well, no. First off, private prisons aren't giving me no money, so I'm not even worried about that. Let's get that straight. They're not giving me any money. They might give the Republican candidates some money. They ain't giving me no money. So that's not even a question. Have I taken money from bail bondsmen? No, I don't know any bail bondsmen, so I haven't taken any money from bail bondsmen.
But if they offer some, are you taking it?
If they offer me $50,000, I'd be like, hey, bail bondsman, I'm playing. It's unfortunate the way that we think about bail bondsmen to a certain extent, to what you were saying and some people have said before, because these are people with jobs that are trying to do the right thing. For a long time, Black folks were not allowed in the bail bondsman community, period, point blank.
Right.
Once they were given the opportunity to, they availed themselves of the ability to work within this industry because they were like, people gonna get arrested, people gonna need bond. Now they put their whole life into, I know plenty of Black attorneys that are family to Black bail bondsmen. So it's not a black-white thing.
Right.
It's not even a right-wrong thing. It's how can you and how should you run your system? Right. And I believe that there's the ability to run the hybrid system. I have people who are liberals, who are like, I don't even want to call them far left liberals because that's not even the right term, but they are staunch liberals. And they said, I believe that you should advocate for a no cash bail system, but I believe in you. I believe that you're the right person and I want to support you. And they supported me. I've had Republicans that said, I hate the Republican Party and the way that they're going right now, but you're the reform that we need in the criminal justice system. Having people and opponents say that they will or will not do something, that they will arrest ICE if they step foot inside of the courthouse, that they will dismantle the cash bail system, where in fact, they don't have the power to do that because the bond comes directly from the judge. It doesn't come from the state attorney. But having the power to use your bully pulpit to actually affect that change is where it's necessary. If you don't have that experience or understand how it works, then you're not gonna be able to try to make the change that you need.
Yeah, so that's definitely this one. So the other thing is that there's a lot of talk about expanding the types of pretrial programs that are available, right? Because they're trying to figure out how to, so many people aren't going to prisons and some alternative to like sentencing. So one of the things they said, some of the candidates said that they wanted to, create more diversion programs so people don't get convictions and, they don't go to jail. What are your thoughts on that? And is there one type of crime in particular you think would benefit from having a diversion program that doesn't already
creating
exist?
A new diversion program?
Yeah, a new diversion program to address like some of the needs in the community.
Well, all right, let's understand diversion in Broward County. And I've said this a few times too, because people just don't understand it. They say, we need diversion, we need diversion, we need diversion. Broward County's, let's start with juveniles. Broward County is the best diversion program. State Attorney's Office has the best diversion program of any in the state attorney's office, in the state of Florida. Ask Gordon Weeks, who's been in the office as a PD. He would say the exact same thing. Ask anybody that's been through the juvenile system, they would say the same thing. Now, the access to the system is a little different, but there's a great attorney. He speaks about this all the time. So I'm not telling you anything new. Josiah Graham. Josiah Graham was put through the juvenile justice system as a kid. He went through diversion. He said, this ain't for me. He never committed another crime again. I have mentees that have been through the diversion program and also through the juvenile justice system, and they fixed their life. So we do have a great juvenile justice diversion program, extensive programs. We have over 12, all right? Now the adult system, let's start with misdemeanor. It's not good. We have one general catch-all diversion program. That's it. If you don't fit into the small criteria within this, they're gonna let you in. We're talking about misdemeanors of any size. Then there is a program, but it's not really a program. It's just a discretionary thing that they just started implementing about 1.5 years ago. I would say 2 years ago. So at the beginning of, I'm going to run for state attorney because one of the candidates runs the misdemeanor court system. So what we're going to do is we're going to allow more people into our diversion program who has marijuana charges. Well, why are we arresting for marijuana and why are we processing them through the misdemeanor program? That's number one. So we should have a diversion for them because they need to be in the civil system, not in the criminal system. The second thing is a 90-day system where 90 days, if you get DWLS and you get your license within 90 days, then we drop your case. But on the 91st day, if you don't get it, then we don't drop your case. Well, maybe I was at work and I couldn't get to the DMV or something like that, so now you're gonna penalize me because I gotta work, and the DMV's in Pompano and I live in Hollandale Beach or something like that. So these aren't real diversion programs. So what we need to do is actually create the framework around it. We need to offer it immediately before they're even filed, before they're arraigned. That's what people understand. We go through arraignment processes when we could do a lot of this stuff pre-arraignment, and then arraign them if they don't fulfill it and still have them go through the process. Now let's get to the felony system. There's two actually state attorney ran programs: mental health diversion and PTI. There's nothing else. That's state attorney run. The juvenile system, the 12, the state attorney runs those. The 1.5 in misdemeanor, the state attorney's office runs those. The state attorney's office does not run veterans court. We do not run mental health court. We do not run the substance abuse courts. Those are statutory courts in which judges preside over, in which the judge can let or not let certain things in. These other programs,
yes. Okay.
Yeah, drug programs, veterans court, like the judge can make exceptions and let people in. These other programs, mental health, diversion, and PTI, we can make exceptions to many of the things that we're not making exceptions to because it's in the purview of the state attorney's office. So we need to expand it. And unfortunately right now, immigration issues do not allow folks to be in these programs. One of my biggest supporters is from the immigrant community. He's an immigration attorney, Jamaican immigration attorney, and a defense attorney. He's been backing me because he sees the work that I've done for the community. And which goes back to your first question, which is I don't know why. First off, I don't know where that came from, and I don't know why anybody would say that without contacting me.
On the immigration one though, in that thing I saw.
I don't know who this organization is you're talking about. I wish I did.
I'll text you.
I would say because I would say, oh no, oh no, but no, we would expand it, and we would also strengthen the ones that we have. And expanding it, ones that we would expand to are adding more locations too, because there aren't locations. It's different if you had more locations. The social research has already shown that the reason why someone decides not to go into a diversion program is because they either don't have the money or they can't get there. They can't participate.
Yes.
It interrupts my life too much. You want me to go 2-3 times a week, I'd be willing to do it if it was over there.
I can't do it. Then it'll take 3 hours,
And when you say I got to catch 5 buses, that is not uncommon. This is not a small county.
Mm-hmm.
That is an accurate statement.
Mm-hmm.
I have to catch 2, 3, 4, 5 buses to get here. Judge, I was late to court. Why were you late to court? I woke up at 5 a.m. to get on the bus to get down to court. And then what happened? One bus broke down. They had to bring the other bus in.
Or one came before the scheduled time, and you had to wait an hour for the next one. I mean,
it's 11:45, and you were supposed to be there at 9 o'clock. Yeah. And you're shaking in your boots, and now you're using up your paid minutes on your Go phone to dial the public defender's office, and they're not picking up, and you're still trying to go, and then you run in the court, and then judge says, no go, you're going into custody. Or someone says, the judge can't hear your case. She's off the bench for the rest of the day. You need to go talk to your defense attorney.
Right.
Like people will stop.
Or they extend their probation for like another 3, 4, 5, 6 months. It's like, this is the thing that's disrupting my life. Yeah, it's hard.
Okay, I made a mistake. Do I have to continue to pay for the mistake for the rest of what seems like the rest of my life? Now I need to restructure my whole being because I made a mistake. Okay, I stole from Walmart. It was a bad choice at the time, but I needed the Similac for the baby. I said, why not get a steak if I'm gonna steal the Similac? And and I got a gas can because just in case my car breaks down, I gotta walk and go get gas. And then a prosecutor he's like, why did you steal a steak, Similac, and a gas can?
They're all necessities, man.
I needed that. But why'd you steal the TV? You know what's crazy? There was a case that I had.
I don't know why people steal TVs. Those are, yeah, that's just crazy.
I don't know why they think they can steal TVs. It's the craziest thing. It's always from Walmart. That's the one thing I never understood. So of all the places, don't steal from Walmart.
Don't steal from Walmart. Don't even slip and fall in Walmart. That's all I'm saying.
Don't do nothing. Don't do it at Walmart or Target. But you still try to steal TV from Walmart. I was in LA in October of last year, and there was a homeless man on the side of the road. He had a big screen TV in his homeless tent, and he was watching TV. I was like, this can't be real.
Wait, how you plug it up? He had a tent. Well, he had electricity. Wait, what? What did he plug it in?
Because he was right next to a building. Because it's like they call some of the stuff they call Skid Row, but there's other areas where there's a lot of homeless folks too. That's not just.
And they kind of set it up for homeless people to be there. I've been in downtown LA. There's a couple streets where that's where they hang out. Yeah.
That's where they're at, and then they'll find plugs, and this is where I stay. I found this electricity is gonna get me through. Why would I steal TV? Because if I can find some way to hook it up, my life is not great right now. I would have watched TV, and even there's a lot of reasons why people do things, and they're victims and they're defendants, and we need again to understand we can't continue to judge people on their worst days. And we have to think. This is just like business. In business, you think 3, 4, 5 steps ahead. That's how you become a good business person, because you anticipate things like that. You put what's called a force majeure clause in a contract for COVID-19.
Right.
If you didn't put that in because you're like, oh, there's no storm that's gonna knock this out, no hurricane. I may live in Florida, but it's Central Florida, so I don't need this clause in my contract. COVID-19 comes to lose everything because you didn't put something in the contract.
Yeah, a lot of these they telling regular people that we supposed to have 6 months of savings, and half of these business couldn't last 2 months of COVID-19. And I'm like, y'all getting bailouts after 2 months? Why they told me to save 6 months of money in case I have an emergency? You guys, like 2 months in and they're like out of business, or they're getting $60 million to make sure they can stay in business. And we're supposed to have 6 months of savings. So, a lot of these concepts do a lot of cross-purposing. This is why I said I don't need to be backed by big corporations or anybody that really has a political agenda that they want to maintain the status quo of Broward County. I'm empowered by the people, and I'm empowered by what we like to say, use your common sense. Don't leave your common sense at the door. These type of things. I'm powered by the people. That's why we have raised money. We do have backing. We do have endorsements. We do push. You're going to see some of the pushes that are coming out soon on this last leg of the campaign. And I can't wait for you to see it, Sandra. I can't wait for you to get texted like, I just heard this. I just saw this. Okay. Yeah, this
so we're excited. We're excited about this last 40 days.
All right, so you're going to expand programs. Okay, so the other question that's been coming up in these here streets about diversity in the office, right? Because this literally is like a new day, right? Like this is like a day of reckoning for so many companies. I haven't had so many emails from corporate companies that said that they support the Black Lives Matter movement. You know what I mean? And people were getting the day off in Juneteenth. I mean, like when has that ever happened, right? Like some places were closing early. They was giving people, it was a paid day off. There's a movement.
Some people didn't even know Juneteenth existed. They were like, hold on, this is a thing? Yes, New Martin Luther King Day, nice.
It's a thing, right?
This is different.
So we really are like in a space where like some really good things can come out of it, or they could turn this momentum into like a joke, right? Like one of the things, like the NFL wants to play the Black national anthem before the games. They're like, no, that's not what we asking y'all to do. People really want like some social justice stuff happening. We don't need y'all to play a song, right? But this is
I think they're changing masters rooms, like the Texas.
Oh yeah, then the Redskins. I don't think he's gonna do it, right? But he said he's considering it.
Dan Schneider
is not. I don't see him doing that. I don't see him doing that. And I think there's some suggestion that he should call it the Red Tails. I really don't see him doing that. But hey, anything can happen. But my point was gonna be that this is definitely a new time where there is a lot of awareness by folks that kind of didn't realize that they weren't as like woke or liberal or as understanding of like a lot of the struggles, right? So this is the time. So diversity in the state attorney's office, does it have to be a person of color at the helm to make sure that the office represents the population that's in the county?
So hold on one second. I'm sorry. It's my wife was texting me from inside. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But,
we're almost over that hour. That's
when
probably why you said an hour.
So yeah, I did say an hour, but I'm definitely gonna answer this. Let me text her one more time. This is gonna be live on the interview. Like
it is. It's happening on Facebook Live right now. Yeah, it's recorded. It's on video, and everybody gonna see it. Like he over here talking to his wife when we talking some serious business. But married people understand you need to talk to your wife. So.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. Like how many times I was like, my case gets called. I'm like, yes. Judge, can you put me on recall?
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes.
All
right.
And
diversity.
So diversity
at the helm in order for the office to be representative of the population.
No, it does. No, it does not. But one thing I am sick and tired of is people saying, "Oh, the population is approximately 30% Black, so we're going to hire 30% Black people, 30% Hispanic people to have accurate representation." We're not looking for equal. Stop trying to make stuff equal. You are diminishing the value of diversity as a whole when you do something like that. It is important to have Asian folks in the office. Why? Because they understand those cases. They can understand their community more so than other folks, and they have different shared life experiences than we do. They see this in case law. They literally says this in case law that Thurgood Marshall was a part of. It does help to have that type of diversity. In addition to that, having Jamaican folks in the office and Haitian folks in the office. And look, I had a case once, and I was a lead at the time, and I was helping out my third. And young Hispanic woman out from Weston, good attorney. She said, I just did this deposition, and this guy, and I watched the video, and I don't understand what the big deal is, but this guy walked in, and he just started saying, blood clot. Like, he just started saying all these, like, horrible, disrespectful things, and she was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And in the deposition, she would ask what this means. He's like, ma'am, I can't even tell you what it means. I cannot tell you what it means. I am being recorded, and it is too disrespectful for me to tell you what that means. And she's like, okay. So she ends up looking it up, and she shows it to him. She's like, yes, that's what that means. And there is a history, whether it's a Buju Banton or other Jamaican artists, where they have said some extremely homophobic things, whether it's hip hop and saying some sexist things. There were certain words that really trigger culturally. You need to have people in the office to understand that. Mm-hmm. Okay? When I was in the office, or I'm in the office now, we had somebody come in who was in the office and misinterpreted what the term trap queen meant. She said it was the head prostitute. And no, the trap queen is not a head prostitute. The trap is not where prostitution lives at. And these are not, it's not, you're taking cultural references and giving it to an office of over 80% white people and saying this is what this means. So even if they never used it in their prosecutorial life, they go back home and tell all their friends about this who never knew about it. And they're like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I did not know that. So now people in the community are starting to think that this is true because you have some authority and understanding of these things. So diversity in and of itself is necessary. Someone last night said we have 57% minority community in Broward County. Therefore, I will have 57% minorities in the office, and I will give 57% contracts to minorities. You don't understand the necessity. You don't understand what diversity is. You don't. Yeah. So do we need someone at the helm to do it? No, but you need someone who understands it. Because you can put a Black person, I said this on the radio the other day, if I was hiring and I had Will Smith and Jaden Smith as candidates, Will Smith has a different life experience than Jaden Smith. Let's just take out the whole Jada Pinkett Smith stuff that recently came out. But
Yes.
but Will Smith grew up in the inner city of Philadelphia. What he had to learn to survive those streets and get to where he is and the level of success he was in, and even in his acting, reach inside and get that type of pain to show it on the screen, it's completely different from the type of background that Jaden Smith had to use to survive the mean streets of Bel Air and the mean streets of whatever other rich community they may have lived over time. So they're both Black, but one has a more diverse history than the other one. If we chose one over the other to be at the helm, I guarantee you're going to get a different result.
Yes, definitely. And there's another candidate in Miami. Sometimes she'll say, she said like all skin folk and kin folk, right? Like that's her
all
thing.
Skin folk and kin folk. and Black people are not a monolith.
They're not a monolith. And we have examples like they put a brother on the court and it's like, dude, so we understand that. So, when we hear people like, oh yeah, it's 30% Black, we're going to put 30% Black people. We just be like, we don't want you to put any old kind of Black person there because we know there's some Black people that you might put in that space that's going to do things that's going to be against us or not for us or just not people, type of thing. So
I don't want any old white person in the space, any old Hispanic person in the space. I don't want any old Black person in the space. What I want is somebody that can do the job and do the job well. And I want somebody with some experience outside of prosecuting for their whole life. Or I want somebody with some experience that it gives them an understanding of the communal aspect of it. Somebody that wants to go in the community, somebody that wants to do the research. And even if you don't want to, even if you're an introvert, you don't like that face-to-face stuff, that's fine. But your decision-making process, that's what I care about. I care about this as well as I care about this. Right. I care about it all. Because our communities, Black folks that live in Weston and Coral Springs do not have the same issues that people who live on the other side of the tracks in Fort Lauderdale and the other side of the tracks in Deerfield Beach have. They just don't.
Yeah, the struggle is definitely different. So this is the last thing I'm gonna ask you about, and then we can go ahead and wrap this up, and you can go to your beautiful wife and your baby and your mother-in-law and all of that. So post conviction relief, right? So there was a case that came out some years ago that gave especially immigrants the opportunity to challenge their convictions, particularly if they weren't given the right type of warnings, when they took a plea on the case, right? So that has since passed, but sometimes some people folks can still file those kind of motions. That's one. So would you create or establish a unit that would deal with post-conviction relief? And particularly for instance, even with the idea now that no one wants to prosecute marijuana cases, there have been people that have marijuana cases that are really causing all kind of grief in their life. Would you set up a unit to deal with post-conviction relief to, maybe for some immigration cases, or would you vacate all the convictions of people that have marijuana convictions since moving forward no one wants to prosecute those cases? How do you want to handle that?
So I don't think there's a necessity for those two particular things to have a unit, but to have a task force to do it, I think is appropriate.
Okay.
The difference between a unit and a task force, a unit is something that's everlasting. An economic crimes unit, a hate crimes unit. These are just going to happen in our community. We're not going to have them for 10 years and get rid of them. A task force deals with the specific issues that or a specific issue. Okay. So essentially, we have right now a sealing and expungement task force. The sealing and expungement folks, they do other things, but when it's time to buckle down and do sealing and expungement, they're called to the table to do the sealing and expungement. So yes, I would create a task force for it. But also, we have people engaging in these things in our appeals unit already, or they've been asking for this type of relief. We just have never given it. So when my opponent says, and I'm saying opponent because there's only one person that ever says this, we do this, and let's check my record, I've done this. It's not true. It's not accurate because we do not do this. They haven't done it. And when they have done it, it's been done recently for political purposes. So it's not stability that is being maintained if this person is voted in the office. In fact, what it is the same old mess. So we got 3 years of nonsense and we got 1 year of tacit reform. So The one thing that another candidate said is that, which is very true, was that you vote someone in the office, they don't do what they say they're going to do. Absolutely. Doesn't matter what color of skin you have. We have plenty of folks within every walk of life who have promised, and not delivered, which is why I don't promise the types of things that some of these other candidates have promised of dismantling the cash bail system, dismantling mass incarceration, dismantling school to prison pipeline. If these are dog whistles. These are dog whistles. What we will do is chip away at the effects that the state attorney's office has on those particular entities. Period. Point blank.
Yeah, because BSO has to buy into that too. So it's just more than just one organization that would have to make that work.
Now, when it comes down to the school to prison pipeline, we have a direct effect on that because we are ones generally incarcerating, keeping kids and adults incarcerated for longer periods of time. However, what I have said is, look, we are focusing a lot of energy on direct filing, which is horrible. Horrible. Not an advocate for it. As I've said, all direct files will come across my desk, so you'll know exactly who is direct filing, and you can put me to task, okay? If I'm direct filing something that you believe that shouldn't be direct filed. But I am also equally concerned with not only the 16 and 17-year-old, but the 18, 19, 20-year-old who went to this corner store. The mama said, don't get in the car with James. You got in the car with James. James is a knucklehead, but James is your friend. And James, just like in Juice, pulls out a gun, goes into the store, or Boys in the Hood, and they pull out a gun, and or it's Mrs. Society, excuse me. Pull out a gun, they rob the place, then you guys hop into the car and drive away. You get pulled over by the police, and then now you're both looking at 30 years to life because you didn't do what your mom said. But you don't have any priors. You've never done anything.
They're not getting involved in all of that.
State attorney's office has never cared about anything like that, ever. And these are the types of things that we need to be aware of.
Yeah, so definitely. So it was a pleasure talking to you. So, all right, let people know how they can donate to your campaign, how they can volunteer, and all of those things. So give it your social media handles again. I mean, we see it in our face, and tell them when it is you want them to vote for you.
Absolutely. Well, Sandra, you personally and everybody you know can go to davidcannady.com and then click that red button at the top and click it 1,000 times and give $1,000 because that's the maximum you can give. This is a people power campaign, and we've done a very good job in making it as such, and we've made some excellent strides in the community. We appreciate everyone who has contributed, and we'd love you to contribute more. Go to Vote Cannady on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can also reach me personally. Shoot me a text, 954-707-0530. It's 954-707-0530. Text me and I'll make sure I get back to you.
All right. Thank you so much and have a good day, okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great one.